You see, most people could get in the shape of their life, but they screw it up along with their health and fitness simply from this all or nothing mentality, and they lack patience, wanting it all now. So they'll go from one end of the spectrum, little to no structure, with little to no training, with little to no effort, all the way to the other end where they go all in. And here's some examples of how people go all in and go too hard too soon. With their diet, they overhaul the diet overnight. Training, they'll go from little training up to 5-6 times a week. And with their lifestyle, they go from socializing to no socializing, no drinking, no fun, and just pure grind. And then what happens? They last a few weeks, maybe a month, and then they end up crashing, burning out, and then quitting, stopping altogether. And now you're getting annoyed at yourself because you didn't stick to the thing again, and now you're feeling like you need more motivation. Nah, mate, you don't need more motivation, you just need a better approach. Let me put it to you like this. Imagine your fitness journey as you driving a car. And rather than going from first gear up through the gears, gear 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you just go from gear 1, which is just trundling along, not really getting anywhere, making progress, and then you just slam it into gear 5 and you absolutely floor it. What's going to happen with that approach? Well, best case, you just run out of fuel. Worst case, you end up spinning out and you end up crashing. Either way, you don't make it. See, when you lack patience and you have that all or nothing approach, this is what happens when you go from little to nothing to an extreme plan. I see it all the time. One day you're going from eating whatever you want to the next day you're full on fasting or you're cutting foods out. Or you go from little to no training into training like an athlete 6 times a week. And then you tell yourself that I'm all in now, this time is different. But then life happens, you've got work, you've got stress, family commitment, energy levels dip. And then because you're going so fast, it's hard to keep up. And that is when the crash happens. And therefore the cycle repeats. So here's why this approach doesn't work. Number one is willpower is limited, your motivation fades. And if you're trying to do too much, you're going to rely on too much willpower rather than relying on habits. Number two is your body needs time to adapt, not only to the new training that you're doing, but also to see the changes occur over time. And number three is you're playing short-term games in something that's a long game, and you want results yesterday. But the reality is health and fitness and getting in the best shape of your life is not a short game. So how do we actually stick to it and make progress happen? The key here is to not go all in and change too many things at once. Ideally, we change 1, maybe 2 things at a time, and we focus on those things. And that's the key word, is focus. We stick to that so that we make sure that we can solidify it, and we don't move on to the next thing until we know it is ingrained as a habit, and that we can move on and add, i.e. layer, another habit on top or 2 without that one dropping away. So instead of trying to be perfect and do it all overnight, just start with 1 to 2 habits. Think of it as like shifting through gears. Step 1 might be training 3 times a week and hitting 10,000 steps a day. That's it. Step 2 is once you know that's automatic and you know by adding anything else it's not going to drop off, and you've been doing it consistently for a couple of weeks, if not months, you can now start to add in the next 1 or 2 habits. And maybe we'd look at doing something like hitting your protein goal and your fiber intake. Step 3, once you feel like those things that you've done are solidified, maybe you start to look to improve your sleep or refine meal timing. So as you can see, the goal is just to layer one thing at a time slowly whilst building momentum and not burning out. And the good thing with this approach is because you're stacking habits properly, it means that you need little to no motivation in order to do this, because it just starts to become automatic, part of what you do and part of who you are. You see, I've seen and worked with people that have gone from this all or nothing mentality, bouncing from one into the other, making little to no progress, to then starting to stack small wins and building momentum, making tremendous results over a longer time horizon. You see, one of my guy clients that I used to work with used to bounce from hardcore training to really strict diets, only to keep quitting every few months. And I told him to hit the reset button and forget all that. And I just said, just train 3 times a week and hit your protein. And at first he thought that's way too easy and he was thinking, should I not be doing more? And my answer was of course no, because if you can't stick to this consistently, there's no way you're going to stick to something that is more intense. And if we fast forward 6 months, he's leaner, he's stronger, he's training consistently, and he's doing that all whilst not feeling like he's killing himself. And that's because we made sure we were patient, we didn't bundle everything in one go, we just worked on 1 or 2 things and then we just worked up through the gears over time. So final message, if you find yourself in this cycle where you keep going from all or nothing and then crashing, ask yourself, what is the 1, maybe 2 things I can focus on changing this month? Not 5 things, not a life overhaul. Just what is the one, maybe two things that you can stick to until it becomes second nature? Because ultimately that is the only way you're going to get results. If this hits home, comment below with what is the one thing that you're going to commit to this month. If you want more content on sustainable fitness and performance, just hit subscribe. I've got a lot more coming. Otherwise, let's get after it.